I know, I'm working on it. Just bear with me here. Got no audio at all. Alright, give me a second. Alright. It's alright, just bear with here. I was just kind of resetting everything, so it should all be working now. I'm just waiting for the stream delay to kick in so I can hear it on my own side here. Alright, we're in business, folks. Let's rock. My goodness, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently my stream was having a little moment this evening, so welcome back. You missed all of the hype, all the great chit chat at the beginning of the stream, so I apologize. This is going to be our sprint race. They're just in free practice here right now at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. So once we get into qualifying, I'll bring that graphic back up and we'll break down what's happening here in our sprint race again. So this is a 2-race event here, and it is our finale championship weekend. So after 11 long rounds of racing, really it all leads down to this one big fantastic round of racing here in Japan this weekend at Fuji from Sector 7 Racing and their Toyota GR Cup. So Split 1 is live over on McNaughty Gaming's channel here right now, so if you want to see top split action, just head over to @McNaughty Gaming over on YouTube. But if you want to hang out here with me and watch the Pro-Ams do their thing this weekend and crown our Pro-Am champion, by all means hang out here with me and or double dip and watch both at the same time. I mean, whatever you all choose to do. So fantastic. Appreciate the heads up, Nolander. That's why I love to chat. That's why I love to chat. It was showing me it was working too on my stuff, so I was like, why is it not working? What? But yeah, so we're just getting ready to start qualifying for our sprint race here. You can see the drivers are just warming up right now, and you can see it's quite wet on the racetrack here. So nice power slide there from the Porsche 911 RSR driven by Turbo here as he was heading in through that first hairpin corner, and a great power slide, to be honest. We've got the GTR of Rough and Tough here as well. We got J-Rod here with the Lexus RCF. We've got Sector 7 Nuke with the Aston Martin, our championship points leader, Maverick, which you've seen there in the standings, although you couldn't hear me. In the Ferrari 458, we have Bud, I believe, in a McLaren 650S now, and we have Dipshay in the GTR as well. So let me remove the GT45. Actually, let's just modify it a little bit. There we go. So you guys can see all the good stuff. Alright, looks like we're just getting the drivers to check in here right now, and we should be under qualifying conditions fairly shortly here. So, welcome in everybody. Again, we're here on behalf of Sector 7 Racing. I'm your host for the evening, GT45 Gaming, and for those of us that were here a little bit earlier, welcome back. We got another spirited fight here at what is going to be an interesting evening of racing. Like I said, it is a 2-race event. It is a sprint race here, which will be a 7-lap race tonight, and then that leads us into a feature event with a different class class of car, and it's finale night, so you know we're going to finish it off big. And if you were reading the graphics instead of being able to not hear me, it was SF23 on the docket. So we're going to pull out the big fast cars here for the final race of the season, and I mean, how fitting. I mean, we might as well do it. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And I'm going to put it all on the line and all on the edge with the fastest racing cars in the world here to crown our champion tonight. So Maverick is leading the points standings. Nuke is nipping at his heels. It's going to really come down to between those two drivers here this evening in a small field of 8 racers. There's not a lot of room for error, so it's going to be an interesting night of racing. I have no idea how the points break down, so I can't really keep us along for the ride as we go through the grid here, but what I do know is it's not said and done yet, and tonight we'll finally decide who is Sector 7's first season champion. Alright, so everything's working now. I'm happy about that. We can bounce over to here. We're just making some adjustments on the stream here. Make that screen a little bit bigger. Good luck to you too, sir. Yeah. We're ready. We good. We Gucci. Now that we got the audios working, rock and roll. Appreciate you, bud. How's it going, Sector 7 Racing? In the house. Alright, I mean, we can't miss finale night, right? We've missed three rounds of racing, I think, here from our Pro-Am division this season due to other obligations and just conflicting schedules for the most part. So we're finally back here, and we had to make sure we got in finale night, and well, I mean, finale night is finale night, right? So as the drivers get in motion and kind of get warmed up, let's bring that graphic back up and let's talk about what we're going to see here over the next 25 minutes or so of racing here. Alright, so this is our sprint race, ladies and gentlemen. It is a open class Group 3 selected car. Now the drivers had to select their cars at the beginning of the seasons, and those are the cars that the drivers are in. Some drivers have opted to do a car swap, and I'm not sure if that came at a penalty or not. But nonetheless, some drivers have opted to change cars at some points throughout the season. It is a 13-minute qualifying session with a 7th lap race. Fastest first based off qualifying. Grid start with a false start check, and it is BOP with brake balance and rear and front aero tuning allowed for our Group 3s here this season. And it is a rain race, so there is no tire requirements. And the drivers start with 50 liters of fuel, 1 times tire and fuel wear, and basically we are going to see these drivers full send it as best they can in the conditions. Alright, let's get up to our lead driver. Let's get rid of that ugly information and bring up the good stuff, and let's get to what's important here. Racing, crowning our champion. Okay, no worries, guys. Just glad to be back, glad to be operating again. We were running on some limping along streaming equipment. We've upgraded that equipment recently as well, so we're just starting to get it fine-tuned in here, and then we're starting to get all the audio sorted out, with the exception of our little faux pas at the beginning there. I'm not sure why I did that, but before we would have to shut the stream down and redo it all again to get it to work. We're actually able to do it on the fly this time, so that it is an improvement. But hope everybody enjoys the race here tonight. Sector 7 Racing's first official championship season here, coming from that great organization, and it's been a great championship here, and we're going to send it off here at the end of November in 2025 with a couple of really great races here. Rain race at Fuji in the Group 3s, and then, well, we'll have to wait to find out what our future races in store for us here after this race, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just going to tell you everything. I'm going to make you wait a little bit here to get on the edge of your seat. We know it's the SF23s, but that's all we know. Alright, so we are officially on our hot laps here now, so these laps will now start to count officially towards the driver's qualifying time. The first lap we see on J-Rod's screen on the right there is a out lap, so it is a non-official race pace lap. It is a warm-up lap, as we like to call it. It gives drivers a chance to heat up their tires, get in the rhythm, and get ready to send it next time around the racetrack for the designated amount of laps or time designated by the racing body. In this case, it is a 13-minute qualifying run, which should allow the drivers roughly about 7-8 laps, I think, something like that, give or take. 6-7, somewhere in there. So we are going to sit with J-Rod here. He's our first car out on track, and then we'll go through the field as they come across the line, and then we'll just wing it from there like we always do. Alright. I'm just happy we got the audios working, chat. Big smile on my face. Always such minor motivations. You can never just have it go and just be flawless, right? Alright, so J-Rod coming through there. It is first. Rough and Tough's going to take pole. Nuke comes through and takes pole away from them. So every driver that comes through seems to be taking first place. Turbo, though, only good enough for second place here on his first time around. And now we're going to sit here with Bud. He's in the Porsche 911 here. Pardon me, I thought it was the McLaren. Looks like he's going to stay in 5th place there. Dipshay as he comes through in 6th place right now, but that's only because he was 6 out on track out of pit lane. Is roaring down the racetrack here. He's good enough for 4th place. We jumped a couple of spots here. We've got Ruzi coming through here, the number 10 car, and what does Ruzi have for everybody here in the Mercedes? Love that Mercedes. It's good enough for 4th place there for him, and that leaves our championship points leader coming into the finale here tonight, Star Shooter, aka MVR Maverick, and he is in that 458 Ferrari. And this thing does pretty well in the range, so let's see what he's got here as he comes around. He's about in the middle of the pack here right now, so he opted to wait in pit lane for a little while, wait for the space to open up, I guess, on the racetrack, and then decided to come out and run his lap. Maybe he was waiting for a certain condition on the racetrack. It's really hard to say what he was waiting for, but I think he was just waiting for the track to space out a little bit so he had some good open track to run in and try to maximize his time around. So we are going to sit on board here with Maverick for him to finish up this first hot lap here, and then we'll just circulate through our field and try to catch the drivers closest to the start-finish line. You know, good stuff. Very wet on the track here today as well, so conditions are tricky here. It's not super tricky, I guess. We're looking at not quite wet tire conditions yet, so we could see a mixture of tire compounds being used on the racetrack here as well. So Star Shooter's coming around here for his first crack. Turbo does take pole position away on his second time around the racetrack here, but Star Shooter's going to come through the 39.2 and take it away from Turbo there as he comes through on his second lap. That puts Nuke in provisional 3rd place, with Rough and Tough in provisional 4th, Dipshay in 5th, Rizzy provisionally in 6th, but he is getting up to that start-finish line to see if he finds an improvement here this time around as he comes across the line. And it is good enough for 3rd place provisionally. Here we got Bud and J-Rod here in 7th and 8th position as well. Let's get through our field here. This is going to be our closest driver to the start-finish line next, so we'll sit on board with the GTR being driven by Rough and Tough here. Caught a break in the racetrack there. The group is very clustered up here, so maybe slipstream is playing a small factor in our qualifying conditions here tonight, and that is entirely possible. It could gain you a 10th or 2, especially up this very long run to the start-finish line here. If you can catch a little piece, you can see Nuke is trying to catch a little piece on Rough and Tough there. He comes through in 5th place. J-Rod does improve. Turbo also improves there, but it's not good enough for pole position. Ruzi now jumps up into provisional 3rd place here, so we still have a Star Shooter in provisional pole. Turbo in P2, Ruzi sitting in P3 here for the time being. We've got Nuke in 4th place. We've got Rough and Tough currently sitting in 5th. We've got Dipshay in 6th place, but very close to start finish line. Does improve, good enough for 4th place after that lap. RWB J-Rod here, gets it a little bit wrong there, but he recovers nicely on that curb, and he keeps the car nice and square and gets into the corner all right there. And then we've got Bud here in 8th place. He is also up on his lap. Where are we? I guess that puts us back to Rough and Tough most likely. It certainly does. And what do we got left? We've still got a fair bit of qualifying time left here as well, so there's opportunity here for the racers to still improve their times yet as well. They're starting to get comfortable with the conditions and probably how the car feels at this point, so now we may even see these times come down a little bit more yet from these races. 39.2 is a pretty darn good lap, however, though in wet, semi-wet conditions. I mean, we can call that wet conditions. It's 30% moisture currently being registered on the moisture meter in game. It's not quite enough to call a designated wet race in a sense yet, but one little mistake, one little miscue, one little lack of concentration is all it takes in this condition to get it really wrong really quickly and potentially cost you your race. So the drivers really need to be on point, especially looking like we're running on racing slick tires here as well in the lobby. So that is going to make things interesting, and we see improvements coming across the board from everybody coming through the line here. Turbo, J-Rod, Nuke, and Rough and Tough. So Nuke is still in 4th place after his improvement. J-Rod is in 6th place after his improvement. Turbo is sitting in P3 here after his improvement on track there as well, but nobody's really changed any positions around there yet. So we are purple here with Turbo as he comes through in behind J-Rod here. Looks like there's a small amount of lag from J-Rod's car. But it is still start shooter in pole position, but boy, that gap has dwindled very, very quickly here as Ruzi is closing in on that fastest lap time here, less than a 10th separating our provisional pole sitter from 2nd place, and then there's about 4 tenths separating Turbo from Ruzi, and then a couple tenths separating Nuke from Turbo, and then a couple tenths, a tenth, less than a tenth. So it's very, very close in the grid here today as well. In qualifying, it looks like we were right in about the right spot there, so let's get back to Rough and Tough and Nuke here, as again they're kind of at the head of the pack. They'll be the next ones across the start finish line, and then we'll see if we have any changes in that provisional grid setting here. We are at the 10-minute mark of qualifying, which means we are starting to run out of time here. You can see the final lap warning now come out for the racers, so the checkered flag has dropped, so all these racers are going to finish these laps here as they come around. No improvements from either of those racers. We got J-Rod coming through. No improvement there from J-Rod. We got Turbo coming through here now, as soon as I find him. And no improvement there from Turbo either. Where is our Mercedes here, Ruzi? And where is Maverick? Maverick just comes through there. Does not seem to improve the time. Let's see where Ruzi's at here as he comes running up. And an improvement there from Dipshay. Where did he puts himself up at P5 there. No change for him there either. So it comes down to what Ruzi can do here, and he does not find an improvement. He's 4 tenths off his best lap there. So it is going to be MVR Maverick starting in pole position here. So congratulations to him. It's going to be Ruzi in 2nd place, Turbo in 3rd, Nuke in 4th, Dipshay in 5th, J-Rod in 6th place, Rough and Tough in 7th, and Bud in 8th position. So there is our qualifying order, and without further ado, let's get racing. All right. This has been a very good, spicy set of races so far this championship season here with the Sector 7 Racing Group. This one should be a doozy, so settle in, folks, because it should be an interesting race. It always is when it's wet. They make for good races. Start shooter takes off. Ferrari gets great launches from grid start, from standing start here, so we should expect to see a good hole shot come from Maverick here, as long as he doesn't false start. You can see just the traction that Ferrari gets on race start there. The GTR gets a good launch there as well. and Dipshay is going to pull up ahead of Turbo, and Turbo, like he has been all season long, just kind of lays back, chills out very early on in the race, and then starts making his way through as the race settles in. So it is Maverick in the race lead, with Ruzi staying in second place. Dipshay does move up a position into 2 positions up into P3 there, as Turbo drops down into 4th place. J-Rod moves up into P5, Bud moves up into P6, Rough and Tough down into P7 here. Nuke drops down to P8. Now, I'm not sure if that was an accordion effect, if he had a little slip out in the car, or if he just laid back on purpose here. We'll have to wait and see what unfolds here. I mean, 13 laps after attempting qualifying run, so the graphic was a little bit miscued, or I misinterpreted the graphic. I'm not one or the other. Either way, it's a 13 lap race here, and at a minute and a half, a minute and 3/4 around the racetrack, this should be about a 20-ish, 25-minute race, something like that. Alright, so let's get to the action. Several different cars on the racetrack here. Nuke is starting to close back in on the pack here as well. So Ferrari 458 leading the charge here right now. Not too surprised to see the Ferrari being strong in the rain, and Maverick has been strong in this car all season long. But Rizzi has always been a worthy competitor here in this Mercedes as well. So he is right on top of that Ferrari right now, not letting him get anywhere. Dipshay right here in 3rd place. GTR is actually very strong car in the wet. You would not think so, but here in Gran Turismo 7, it is actually quite strong in the rain. You just got to know how to drive it properly in the wet, and it can really move. So we got J-Rod giving Turbo a little push there here as they come into turn number 1. And we got a nice little group of 4 cars here, so a little 4-way battle starting to brew here. But Turbo in charge of this pack, or in the lead of this pack here right now. J-Rod is seeming to work with Turbo there, as opposed to battling with Turbo to try and close in on the 3rd place driver. Some smart thinking there, I think, from J-Rod, especially this early on in the race. Why battle and cost yourself time when you can work together and hopefully gain time? And Turbo just dips on the outside of the racetrack a little bit there, then unfortunately gets collected up there as another racer, I believe it was Rough and Tough, comes around and just catches the front nose cone of the dyno car here, and you can see he just got a little too far outside there, just lost the traction, and bam, nowhere to go as Rough and Tough comes through, and pretty heavy contact there between the GTR and Turbo's Porsche there, but it is light damage, it will go away. And the biggest setback there is the mistake in the time on track, but the race goes on. Alright, so it is a Maverick here in 1st place with Ruzi in 2nd position, and again, only separated by about a car and a half right now. Then you got Dipshay just a couple seconds in behind, trying to close the gap up. J-Rod here now starting to close, or trying to close in on the Dipshay there. Unfortunately, now without Turbo in the mixer, he lost his drafting partner here, which could have been beneficial, but he does have DMP's Bud right in behind him here as well. And Porsche can just get closed in on the bumper. That Lexus, it could potentially utilize a little bit of slipstream to close the gap up here. We've got Rough and Tough here in 8th place. Nuke now in beside. It is a drag race heading into turn number 1 here. Nuke does have the inside track. GTR has a little bit better top end, but Nuke hangs in there with the Aston Martin. He's going to send it in a little bit late on the brakes just to make sure he gains that position. And nice tidy pass there from Sector 7's Nuke as he moves up into 6th place over Rough and Tough there. Rough and Tough there, unfortunately, just clipping Turbo there as Turbo was sideways in the sweeping right-hander there. And unfortunately, Turbo was about 8 seconds in behind, but again, he will collect himself. He'll get back on track and he'll get moving. He was one of the fastest drivers in qualifying, so we know he has the pace. Now he's just got to put his head down, full steam ahead, and see what he can do with the remaining 11 laps of the race here. Alright, so keeping a close eye on this battle here between Rizzi and Maverick right now. Maverick is trying to open a little bit of a gap up there, a little bit of a wiggle coming from Rizzi there in that last sector, and that did cost Rizzi a little bit, and then now he catches a little bit more of a snap there as he catches a puddle of water on the curbing there, and that's going to open up just a little more of a gap there between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. And now he seems to be just broken out of his rhythm slightly there. He had a little mistake in that corner there. He catches that nicely, gets back on the power nice and early, and he's going to get that Mercedes back up the road. Mercedes has pretty good straight line speed, should be able to hopefully close it and slipstream in behind that Ferrari and regain some of that time lost on the race leader there. But a couple tense moments for our Mercedes there in second place. Duche here has broken away from J-Rod here. He's opened up the gap and still now trying to close back in on that battle for the lead. 3 seconds gap there. Moving back RWB's J-Rod here in the Lexus. We didn't mean to skip him, I promise. Just a few seconds, 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds in behind that podium here right now, and he still has the Porsche Bud right in behind him there, about 2 car lengths, 9/10 of a second in behind. We've got Nuke now trying to close in on these two here, 2 seconds behind in the Aston Martin. He has kind of started to open the gap up a little bit here on Rough and Tough in the GTR as well, and Turbo is closing in very, very quickly here. In the Porsche here now down to 5 seconds, so he is a man on a mission right now here in Fuji, let me tell you what. Watch out for the pink Porsche. The pink Porsche is charging. It can smell its prey, and it's up there in front, so let's see what he can do with it. Alright, so great battle here for the race lead. We're just trying to keep our eye on that 4th and 5th place position there as well in the background. As you can see, there cars are still quite close together there as well. And some different lines coming from the 2 drivers here. You can see Ruzi really got a close up there. He really closed up the distance. He got a good run. He almost had to check himself up there a little bit as he got a little too inside of Maverick there in his turn and almost created contact there. Anyways, from the camera angle we were looking at. But great run through the final sector there from Ruzi, and that has closed him right back up on the rear fender of rear bumper, pardon me, of the Ferrari there. Maverick is aware he's there. He goes to break the slipstream here, and now he's just going to settle in to make his corner here. And boy, that Mercedes is all over that Ferrari here right now. Early on in the racetrack, so 5 of 13 laps here, or 4 of 13 laps in the book on number 5 here, and this battle for the lead is only intensifying right now instead of cooling down. So game on. Let's see what happens here. Mercedes looks very, very strong in Fuji here in the rain. Nice tight turn in here from Mercedes. He should be able to get another charge on the Ferrari here, but you know, the Ferrari is just if you can drive it anyways in the Group 3 class, it's just a very strong car. So it's going to be interesting to see how its bigger brother, when it comes out, is in comparison, or how it is in comparison to the new 296 that we're going to receive here in not too much more time, I believe. Alright, just keeping an eye on things back here. I kind of seen these arrows starting to cluster up a little bit here in the mid-pack, so we just want to come and see what's going on here, as it looks like Nuke has closed up on J-Rod and Bud here. Bud was very close to behind J-Rod there about a lap ago there, and he still is quite close, but now he's starting to feel the heat from the Aston Martin in behind him there. Oh, and Nuke's going to take advantage of that wide entry into the corner there. He's going to try and slip up the inside there, and oof, Bud goes a little bit wide there, just overestimating where that Aston Martin was, I think, and into the final corner there, he's going to open up the hole and lose a position there. So Nuke finding a way and finding a hole there to move up into P5, and now he's got J-Rod in sight. So great battling here, but here we go. As we're watching that battle, we got a battle for the race lead going on here. It looked like Ruzi tried to get it done on the outside on Maverick there, but he has nothing doing there, and now they are nose to tail here as we head in through the kink and head towards the right-hand sweeper. So oof, big wide exit there, and different lines coming from the 2 racers as well. And that's the interesting thing about the rain physics and the wet driving here in GT7, is that sometimes it's best to drive offline in the wet conditions. However, with that being said, these racers are also on racing soft tires in the wet conditions, so that does kind of change things a little bit. But I gotta tell you what, these guys are being extra racy here tonight for the viewers and the fans at home here for this race lead so far. And this is just our sprint race. We still got a whole nother race event to go after this race yet, ladies and gentlemen, so buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride here tonight. But Maverick getting a little bit loose there coming through that sector, has to gather that car up, and all that does is just allow that Mercedes to continue to stay nice and tight to the rear bumper of that Ferrari. He's just trying to find his moment right now finding a way to attack, much like we just seen come from Nuke there. See if he can open a hole, find a hole to get that car into, get a little bit of track position, and maybe that's enough to get the pass done. But boy, Maverick is just not letting it happen here. And as we head back up the back straight at the end of lap number 6 here, it is still Maverick leading the way, but boy, he is feeling some pressure from the number 10 car and Ruzi in behind. Dipshay's in third place, cool, calm, collected, chilling here right now, trying to maintain the gap on J-Rod, but J-Rod is starting to close in a tiny little bit, but J-Rod has a whole new issue in behind him here with that Aston Martin of Sector 7 Racing's Nuke. So Nuke has closed in on J-Rod here, and he's going to go up the inside as we head into turn number 1, and looking to get 4th place from J-Rod is Sector 7 Racing's Nuke here, and a nice good battle in here in the wet from these racers. Nuke gets the job done, clean tidy pass into turn 1, and that is obviously one of our better passing opportunities here on the racetrack is heading into turn 1, because it is at the end of a high-speed straight into a hard braking zone. There's a very wide entry into the corner and a couple of different lines that can be taken on the exit of the corner, so it does provide for great battling and great passing attempts, and Nuke does get the job done. Back to the race lead real quick here. Let's keep an eye on this. It's still the Mercedes in second place here, still applying pressure to that 24 Ferrari here on the racetrack, but boy oh boy, what a great race these guys are having up front here. And we're just going to rip through our field here real quick and assess where everybody's at. Turbo is closing in on that 7th place driver there, down to 3.7 seconds. So Turbo is starting to close in on the pack here after that unfortunate slide in the right-hander, just catching the edge of the track there, just lost the traction, lost the back end of the car, and then unfortunately as Rough and Tough came around the corner there, he just clipped the front nose of that Porsche and well, created a little extra time loss on the racetrack there for Turbo. So he's going to dust himself off and make what he can out of this race and focus on the next race at hand. Great race battle here between again Maverick and Ruzi. Oh, Ruzi's going to take a look. Is he faking? He's just going to take a look, see if there's any reaction out of the 24 car here, but again, no reaction coming out of that 24 car. I mean, this is our championship points leader, so I don't think he's going to be too easily shaken here by the pressure, but you never know. Racing is racing, anything can happen, and with the wet conditions in play, that could change everything. So it is the 10 car still applying the pressure here on our number 24 car, and I just feel like the moment I move away from this, we miss a potential battle for the lead here. So we're trying to stick with it as much as we can, but we're still trying to keep our eye on what's going on throughout the rest of the field, because I mean the rest of the pack is very close together here as well. Great shot by the photo man right there. I mean, our production crew here just does a fantastic job, I tell you what. Here getting us some great shots of these cars as they're roaring around these racetracks, and it's been a very spirited battle here between these two so far tonight. And you can see again just different line choices from the drivers here, but man, Ruzi is just really picking this final sector apart. Really is where he's gaining his most time, it seems like, on Maverick. And oh, there we go, he's going to get up the hole here. He does have the inside line, but again, Maverick just has an answer and just pulls out in front of that Mercedes. But that Mercedes is probably the closest he's been out of the final turn exit here all night long, and he is going to definitely give a charge to this Ferrari here as we head up the front straightaway. And full defensive mode here is Maverick. So is Maverick going to give? Oh no, Ruzi's going to make the space here. Maverick's going to move back out to the wide line, and unfortunately for Ruzi, that's going to compromise his exit there, and that's just going to allow Maverick to come right back underneath. And there we go. So the games are on here between our race leaders right now, and that is exactly what you expect to see in that kind of battle, where racers trying to psych each other out. A small little mistake made there. Maverick holds the race lead. Dipshay here in third place, still has a pretty cozy little cushion right now in third place, given that everything he's got. Nuke has he started to move or put a gap in between himself and J-Rod, now trying to close in on that third place position. J-Rod is trying to fight for this championship, or Nuke is trying to fight for this championship here, sitting in second place chasing Maverick, so you know he's going to be giving it everything he's got out here tonight to try and regain whatever happened there at the beginning of the race. So Bud here in 6th place, we've got Rough and Tough here in 7th place, and now Turbo is in the conversation here as we closed up on Rough and Tough, close enough there now to catch the draft. Alright, so things have settled down just a tiny little bit here between our race leaders, the first and second place driver here. They have got a little bit of a gap between them here now, about 3/4 of a second, 2.5 car lengths right now at the moment, but we'll see how long that lasts for. We have seen, again, that Mercedes be very strong, especially in the final section of the racetrack here, and that seems to be where he keeps pulling his time in on this Ferrari. And then just utilizing the draft of a Maverick into sections where Maverick's a little bit stronger to stay close. So it's pretty smart driving here from Ruzi so far. He just hasn't been able to find a way around Maverick so far. And even if he does, then he's got the task of trying to hold the empty charge of Maverick off and get back around to the race lead. So there's, and a moment right there from Ruzi as he comes down through the exit of turn number 1 there. He gets on that curbing and the car got real wild on him there, but he manages to keep it together. He keeps that car underneath him, he keeps it moving in a forward direction, and it's going to cost him about another car length of time here on Maverick. And every little mistake right now is just a little bit of extra breathing space for the race leaders. So as that driver in second place, you definitely want to close that gap back up as quickly as you can, start reapplying that pressure. You don't want to give that race leader any time to really recompose himself back in behind the wheel. You want him to feel the heat, you want him to feel the pressure, you want to try and force that mistake into the race leader, but with that pressure. So Ruzi is probably going to really try to utilize his braking in this final sector like we have seen him do so far all race long, to really try and close that gap up here in this lap particularly. He is running out of time here. We are going to be starting lap 11 of 13, so urgency as the timer is running down here is kind of the essence here now at this point for Ruzi, if he wants to try and get this race win away from Maverick in that 24 Ferrari. So while this is all going down here, let's go take a look through the field here. We got Dipshay in third place, and boy, Nuke is closing in. The question is it kind of the same position here? That time is not in his favor at this point now. So can he close the gap and get the move done in the next 3 laps? J-Rod here in a 5th place. Bud is starting to close back in a little bit here on J-Rod. There may be potential battle for position there. We got Rough and Tough and Turbo here in 7th and 8th place, who also is very much so in a battling position here. So battles all really throughout the field here as we get down to the nitty-gritties in this sprint race and get one step closer to crowning our overall champion here this season. Well, Maverick is definitely putting himself in a great position if he can win the sprint race to become the solidified champion here this championship season from Sector 7 Racing as well. So the race win here in the sprint race is going to be pretty big, and then he's going to have to just perform well in the feature race at this point with only 8 cars on grid. There's a lot less room, a lot more wiggle room in a sense for a points lead, but a lot less room for error as well, because you can very quickly drop down to the bottom of the grid. But the point scale is much larger at the bottom end of the grid, at least with an 8-driver lobby. So, like I said, without knowing exactly what the point scaling is this season here from Sector 7, because I just haven't really gotten it into my head and locked in there, it's really hard to determine what the chances are, what the percentages are of this happening and this happening and that happening, depending on where the races are. But one thing I can tell you is it was a lot closer at the end of the season coming into finale night than, say, I figured at round 6, as Maverick had a pretty significant points lead at that point in the season. Nuke has very clearly been chipping away at that points lead all throughout that latter part of the mid-season and coming into our championship rounds here to definitely make things interesting this weekend. So but it looks like Maverick has got things well in hand here now. He's opened up a 2.7 second gap over Ruzi here now, and I guess as a second place car being so close for so long and then just losing grasp of that closeness, and then you're just trying to get it back and maybe just overdriving the car a little bit, and that's costing more time, and now with just a couple less than 2 laps to go here, Ruzi finds himself out of striking distance at the moment of the race leader. Now he's very close. Not saying that he definitely can't still get it done, but he's not in an immediate attack position, being 2 seconds in behind, so 3 seconds now in behind. So Maverick has picked up the pace here in the last couple of laps now that he's got just a small cushion. And I said that, as you know, after all that relentless pressure, you don't want to allow that race leader now to recompose himself behind the wheel, and that's exactly what's happened here. Maverick has recomposed himself behind the wheel. He's gotten back into the groove, and barring nothing major at this point, I mean, it's his to lose. Rosie here in second place gave him a heck of a run there. That was some great battling between those two racers throughout this race here, but might have come up just a little bit short here in the sprint race, unfortunately there. But second place is still nothing to shake a stick at, and Nuke here really wants to try and lock in that final podium position here, but he's still got a 2-second gap himself there, and with only this lap remaining, so white flag racing essentially here, penultimate lap, as our race leader comes into turn 1 with Matt Ruzzi not too far behind. Dipshay now comes across, so does Nuke to start that final lap. J-Rod now coming across the line. Turbo has managed to get his way around Rough and Tough and Bud, so something must have happened to Bud here somewhere along the way in the latter part of this race. A mistake made on the racetrack perhaps, and it dropped him down 2 positions there very late in the race, so unfortunate for our Porsche driver here, but is Rough and Tough up 1 and Turbo up 2, something again. Unfortunate incident for Turbo there in the right-hand sweeper. He just broke traction and getting a little bit of a track edge in the wet there and slid sideways, got collected up by a car at pace, and he had to climb his way back from about 10 seconds behind the pack. So to grab a couple of positions here before the end of this race is a good salvage for Turbo, and we'll see what race number 2 has in store for everybody here momentarily. So it kind of changes the whole grid order with the exception of our 8th place driver. He will remain exactly where he finished here in the sprint race, but leading into our feature event, our 1st through to 7th place drivers will be inverted. So P1 will go to P7, P7 will go to P1, all the way through the field in between. 4th place is kind of the winner there because they don't really move at all. But it was great battling between Star Shooter, aka NVR Maverick, and Ruzi there, but Maverick is going to get the sprint win here in our finale night here from Sector 7 Racing. Ruzi is going to take a very validated 2nd place race there, a very hard fought 2nd place from him. And Dipshay, very cool, calm, collected 3rd place drive from him. Managed to pressure, and Nuke falls just a little short there in 4th place. Good charge from Nuke there as he had something happen and had to come back as well. J-Rod's going to bring it home in 5th place here in our sprint race. Turbo's going to come across in the 6th position with Rough and Tough in 7th place, and Bud's going to finish very close behind in 8th place. And well, there we have it. There is our sprint event for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So again, congratulations to NVR Maverick for the race win and pole position. But that does now mean that he will start in 7th position here going into our feature event. So congratulations to Maverick. All right, I believe they're going to probably throw up a 5-minute break in between. I could be wrong on that. So we're just going to wait to see what our race official decides to do here, and then we will break down what's going to happen next. How you doing, Nick? I see you there. I see you looking. You missed a good race there, unless you were watching the whole race. Then you didn't miss a good race at all. That was a doozy. Alright, so now we get to the fun. Oh, I think there's going to be a second lobby reset here. I know, right? I'm all over the place tonight. What can I say? Oh, there we go. We got it right now. All right. So our feature event here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is as follows. SF23 will be the Toyota SF23, as it is a Toyota Cup here this championship season, and qualifying is based off the sprint race. So our top 7 get inverted. Our 8th through 15th place drivers remain exactly where they finished. This is going to be a 34 lap race here around Fuji, and it is a rolling start. They are allowed balance of performance on these cars here this weekend, and they are allowed brake balance. 2 compounds of tires are required here this evening. It is 2 times tires and 2 times fuel, 3 liter a second refuel rate, and they start with a full load of fuel. It is evening time here now in Japan, and it is CO1 random to SO1, meaning we should have dry conditions here for our evening of racing, and it is a 1 times multiplier. But with that being said, it is a Fuji, and you just never know. Just joined on the last lap. Oh yeah, no, it was a good race, man. That was a good race. That battle for the race lead was pretty epic. But now we're going to finish it off the right way, in my opinion. We're going to jump into the fastest racing cars out there, and we're going to absolutely send it now at insane speeds, and well, see what happens. We're going to see some elbows out racing in these cars. It's pretty typical of these cars. We're going to see some wheels touching. We're going to see some interesting moments here on the racetrack. But, you know, these pros really, pro-ams, pardon me, really gave us a great show in the wet conditions there in those Group 3 cars. So let's hope that we get a nice, good, hard-fought 34-lap battle here in these SF cars. However, with that being said, there is going to be a pit stop here, at least one, in this race today, as it is 2 different tire compounds required. And I guess in the event of a potential wet race, which shouldn't happen, but with the default dynamic weather model in play, anything is possible. In the case of a wet race being called, of course, that does avoid the tire mandates, but we should stay in the dry here tonight, and the forecast does look pretty good for our racers here for the evening time in Japan. So we're just kind of kicking it, waiting for our race host to kick off this event. Like I said, I believe there's going to be a little delay. Obviously, now what happens is the drivers have to get out of the Group 3 cars. They got to get the Group 3 cars out of the pit lane. They got to get the SF23 cars out. They got to get the drivers strapped in. They got to get the cars ready for the grid. So there's a little bit of a process in between the sprint and feature event here. And, you know, that's what they're working on here right now. The host has to check the settings. He has to check the grid. He has to make sure the grid is where it needs to be, where every driver is on the starting grid race. But the control official here is working hard while everybody's just kind of chilling and coming up with their game plan for the feature event. So one more race, one more showdown, one last stand here from our Pro-Am lobby this season from Sector 7 Racing and the Toyota GR Cup, and it's going to be SF style here at Fuji. So we crowned a champion at the end of this race here this weekend, and it was a hard-fought championship season across all 3 divisions here this season. So congratulations to all the racers, no matter what happens here over the next 45 minutes or so, and congratulations to Sector 7 Racing and all the volunteers behind the scenes. It's been a pretty great season, and I expect that next season should be pretty fantastic as well. I have no idea what they're doing. I have no idea what they're really brewing up. They've been putting out some polls and doing what every other group out there does for the next championship seasons. They like to pick the brains of course, the racers. And the important thing about league racing is obviously our returning racers. Obviously, it's great getting the new racers as well each season, but the returning racers are really important. They're the heart and soul of what we do. So you know, the feedback from our racers, especially the long-standing racers of an organization or a community or a group, is always important. You got to take it for full value, and you got to listen to what the drivers have to say, because at the end of the day, they're the ones competing, and they're the ones that can show you how many holes are in your rule book as well. Just saying. So, you know, the drivers' input is important. So that's why we see the league organizations put out the polls and see what you know, the racing body or the racing group group in that particular circle would be interested in the upcoming season. Maybe there's a group of choices, maybe it's an open selection, just make suggestions, but that is kind of how it all starts, and then how we end up here, a few weeks later from an idea. So, huge thank you to everybody behind the scenes that makes it happen. This is all done on free time and volunteers, and same thing as the racers. This is a hobby for the racers. I say it a fair bit. This type of racing, what we do here at GT45 Gaming, Sector 7 Racing in this instance, and other racing bodies that we work with, it's all about community, it's all about family, it's all about friends, it's all about fun, competitive, spirited, clean racing. And that's what we're really ultimately looking for, and why we do this, because it gets us out of that platform supplied racing setups, multiplayer racing setups. It gets you away from the uncontrolled part of racing with strangers, right? This is organized, it has rule books, it has consequences for actions. It just makes it much more enjoyable. So all the competition aside, and all the trash talk, and all everything that goes on through a championship season, and behind the scenes between the racers, between the teams, the crews, it all comes down to we're one big family at the end of the day, and we do this because we enjoy it. It's a hobby, and we like hanging out with our friends. It's an opportunity for us to hang out with people from all corners of the world, people that we may never ever meet in face to face in our real lifetime, but we get an opportunity to hang out with them maybe 2-3 times a week because of sim racing or whatever our niche video game is. In our case, it's sim racing. So at the end of the day, all things aside, no matter who wins, who loses, I think every racer comes out fairly happy and fairly satisfied, because at the end of the day, they got to spend 12 weeks with their friends racing against them, right? You live, you learn, you come back next season, hopefully better, faster, and stronger. All right, I'm so ready for a Super Formula race. I love Super Formula races. There isn't a prettier sim out there than Gran Turismo on console. There's no doubt about it. There's some sims out there that are done well, but they're not as pretty, that's for sure. So we're definitely thankful for Gran Turismo 7 for our absolutely gorgeous view of sim racing. So we get a lot of new viewers that come in throughout the year as we do these broadcasts, asking if it's actually a real race, because for those that don't know, it does look fairly realistic coming from GT7. So they definitely put their heart and soul into making the game look spectacular, for sure. These SF cars are no exception. They look great, they drive absolutely fantastically, they're super fast, and we need to see more SFs on Gran Turismo 7. Needless to say, we need to see more racetracks that suit these cars in GT7 to start with. That would definitely help, and we definitely would like to see more variety and updated F1 cars, or SF cars, I guess, as they're called here in the game. Yeah, it would just make for some pretty epic GT racing. Back in the day, we had the Jeff Gordon DLC for Gran Turismo. We had that Lewis Hamilton DLC for Gran Turismo with the Formula 1 cars. The Jeff Gordon one for the NASCAR cars. Those were seriously epic DLCs. And what's sad is we don't have that epic style of classic cars in the newest version of Gran Turismo. I'm sure it's a licensing agreement issue. Most likely that's probably what it comes down to. But man, that really was some epic DLC content from Gran Turismo, and I don't know if they can ever come out with DLC content as epic as that, to be honest, man. It was a pretty great stuff. So it's unfortunate that we don't have that NASCAR and F1 part of Gran Turismo that we have had in past games or past versions, because with where Gran Turismo is now, with our online competitive leagues and community racing capabilities, I think that would be some pretty epic racing. For sure. Alright, so we're just getting ready to start things off here. I can see race control starting to get some official words here, checking on the drivers, make sure everybody's there and ready to go. So we should be on the grid here in just a few more moments, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for bearing with as we get the transition from one classic car to another over with. You can see those cars are out in the pit lane there on the screen. And you see the crews look fairly cool, calm, collected, and ready to send those drivers out. So we should be back under green flag action fairly soon. Would like to thank everybody as well that's been here all season long, whether it be Rallycross GT's channel, GT45 Gaming's channel, or McNaughty Gaming's channel, to watch the streams, like, share, comment, hang out with us, or get involved, come into the Discord server, or more so be on track to race in the championship. We do appreciate that. Thank you from Sector 7 Racing to everybody involved around what they do. We can't do it without everybody, especially the viewers from home. So thank you very much for all of your patronage, your viewership, and your support all season long. It's been absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to like and share the stream. With that being said, appreciate it. A couple free things that you can do to help me out. And don't forget to head over to the Sector 7 Racing YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button over there as well, because they got great stuff coming up in the future here, and you're not going to want to miss the racing action. If you thought that sprint race was great, if you think this SF23 race is going to be great, well, they got a whole new championship season in behind the scenes brewing up in the pot, and I don't even know what it is, so I can't even give a leak. Everybody's just gonna have to wait and find out, I guess. All right. Time for the action. Let's do it. Super Formula 2023 cars, the Toyota SF 2020 23 cars out on track, and we are getting that rolling start going, and we will be green in no time. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kick them tires, light them fires. It's the last ride from Sector 7 Racing's Toyota GR Cup SF23 34 laps at Fuji Speedway here in Japan. Let's crown a champion. And we're gone. Rough and tough in the race lead with Turbo in second place, J-Rod in third, Nuka's in fourth place with Ruzi in fifth. We got Dipshay in sixth place. We got Maverick there in seventh position. We got Bud there in eighth place. Dipshay trying to slot into line there, and just a small little touch there. And you can see how quickly those cars reacted. They get very, very twitchy, and all it takes is the slightest amount of contact at the insane amount of speed. Just better break that aerodynamic suction down on these cars, and it is game over. It is very easy to lose traction. It's very easy to spin them out, so you definitely want to be hyper aware of everything that's going on around you and where all the rest of these cars are around you, because it only takes one touch and all of a sudden you're going for a ride and not in the right way. But it is rough and tough leading the way. We got a battle here between J-Rod and Turbo for second place here, so let's jump on board with this battle for second place here. Turbo is going to... No, it is game on here as we are still roaring up the racetrack here. We do have DRS active here in these racing cars now as they come across that line, and they can utilize that until it runs out here in the race today. Now, I'm not sure if there is DRS allowance refill in the pit lane here this afternoon. We'll have to wait and find out, but it is game on and race on, and Rough and Tough have gotten away here very early on. 1.7 second gap. Turbo holding on to second place, but J-Rod really applying the pressure there, but had to make a little bit of an adjustment there, and that allows Ruzi to get an outside run there as we head through the sweeping corner here, and these guys aren't lifting here, and he gets the job done. J-Rod going to take a look up the inside. Ooh, makes a little bit of contact there on the backside of Ruzi as he gets into the braking part of the corner there. No harm, no foul. They continue on racing. Maverick here now up into fifth place, but in sixth place we got Nuke here in seventh position. We got Dipshay in eighth place. So now, as the drivers are starting to settle into the race here, Rough and Tough is trying to run away from the pack. Turbo here is trying to not allow that to happen. However, Ruzi is charging here now, and with a big move on J-Rod leading into the right-hand sweeper there to get that third place position. He's got his sights set on that number second place car. Pardon me, I don't know what number the car is, but and oof, a little wiggle wobble, maybe a little mistake made there from Turbo had to check up that car just a little tiny bit, or a little bit of DRS assist perhaps from Ruzi there, and he does move up into P2, but it looks like we're going to see a 3-wide battle heading here into turn number 1. Is anybody going to give here? Ruzi is going to back out here. He's going to see if a mistake is made from these cars and try to take advantage of a hold. He does look down the inside of Turbo here, but he cannot get it done. Turbo is just going to settle right back in behind J-Rod, but J-Rod takes second place in that 3-wide exchange heading into turn number 1, and the gloves are off, ladies and gentlemen. We're not waiting until lap 20 or 30 to do this. We're going to do it here. We're going to do it now, and we're going for the knockout punch. Boy, oh boy, what a fantastic night of racing we're having here from Sector 7 Racing, ladies and gentlemen. Ruzi in 4th place. Nuke now up into 5th place, jumping 2 positions. Maverick down a position here in the 6th place. Now we got Dipshay up a position here in 7th place, and Bud down here in 8th place. A big mistake made here, big gap made there, so Bud is now on the back foot there, and boy, oh boy, there might not be a big field of racers here in this finale tonight, but boy, they have made up for it in quality of racing for our fans tonight. Absolutely spectacular stuff coming here from the racers from our Pro-Am division here in Sector 7's Toyota Sierra Cup. Love it. Let's keep it going, boys. Let's keep it going. All right, Turbo here in 3rd place. We got Ruzi very close behind here in 4th place. And now it kind of gets interesting because you do have a little bit of that DRS advantage. You can utilize that to get faster acceleration point or overtake the car. However, though, do you only have one set of DRS for the race? You have 34 laps. When do you use it? That is the bigger question. Using DRS will slightly affect your fuel mileage. It could potentially also affect a little small amount of tire wear. However, I don't think a tire wear is as big a concern here for the racers with DRS as the fuel usage while using that DRS. If the fuel window is tight for a stint, then DRS may not be the best option. It might be a last resort thing. We'll have to wait and see what each of the drivers choose to do here with it, but for the most part, not a whole lot of that DRS being used here so far from our racers, from what I can tell. So they are definitely trying to hang on to it here for a later part of the race, most likely. But it is rough and tough in the lead here very early on. But that gap is closing as J-Rod is starting to tickle into it here a little bit. That 1.7 is now turned down to 1.3, so J-Rod is starting to close in here on that race leader. Ruzi now up into 3rd place here, has worked his way around Turbo here, and 1.7 seconds in behind J-Rod. 2 seconds now separating Turbo from Ruzi. We got Maverick back up into 5th place here, trying to chase down Turbo here, and he's got it in the slipstream range here now. Nuke also right there, 1.37 seconds in behind Maverick. We got Dipshay here about 6 seconds in behind him. Bud, oof, having a rough day in that Super Formula car here as we see him just mowing some grass there, getting it back on track. So not sure what happened to him there, but tough day in Super Formula car here for Bud so far. Brewing. We got a battle brewing here. We may have a potential battle brewing here. Looks like Maverick is starting to close in on Turbo a little bit here. Sorry, I was just looking at some chatter going through the Discord server here. Something caught my attention there for a second. Just had to make sure I was not missing anything important. So it is Maverick here now, and again, I don't know exactly what the deal is with the pit stops here today, and if these drivers are going to get a new set of DRS or not, but we will find out when that time finally does come. There's no way that the driver's going to get a one stop out of this. Obviously, if tires are not going to last 34 laps at these insane speeds with the amount of corners that are around this racetrack, we will see, and of course the tire mandate being 2 different tire compounds needing to be used here today as well. And we do see some different compounds of tires actually on the racetrack now that I'm talking about that, so we'll have to wait and see. And we've seen a lot of this strategy coming from J-Rod this season here, the reverse strategy, so to speak, from the optimal strategies we like to call it as sim racers in this situation. Most likely going to end up being just a one-stop race here with a medium-soft combination put on the cars here this weekend. So some starting on the medium, some starting on the soft tires, and that's what starts to make things interesting. So we're going to see the field spread out a little bit, and then at the end of the race, we're potentially going to see that field really close back up again. So battle on for the race lead here. J-Rod closes in on Rough and Tough, moves up the inside into turn number 1 here, and is going to get the job done here as we get around the corner. Are we going to see a response from Rough and Tough here? No, it is going to be a lead change here. So J-Rod is going to take over the lead of this race here on lap number 7 from Rough and Tough. And ooh, Rough and Tough misjudging the corner and the overspeed just a little bit there in the dirty air. Does overshoot that corner, and he may have actually been very fortunate there. He does not pick up a track limit penalty, so track officials being quite kind to him right there. Ruzi in third place. Can still see those two guys up there. So, I mean, 2.5 seconds up ahead here right now. We got Turbo here in 4th place. He's got about 3 seconds to Ruzi, and Maverick is still trying to close in on Turbo here, about 3/4 of a second. So in that slipstream here, but I think the slip is a little bit closer together in these SF cars due to how low and narrow to the ground they are. They don't punch quite as big a hole in the air as, say, a GT3 car does or an LMP1 car does. They're a lot more streamlined and obviously efficient to go insanely fast. So they don't. The slipstream range, I think, is a little bit smaller in the SF cars than it would be, say, a circuit, racing car like I said, a GT3 or a GT1, something like that. And I think that's why they have the DRS essentially in the cars. It allows them to close up those gaps at top speed, right, where the cars are. That's it. There's nothing left in them. You can use that DRS to get that little bit of extra. Close that little bit of extra time, that extra 2/10 or that tenths you need coming out of that corner, or whatever the case may be. So the DRS is kind of the balancing factor for these super formula cars in a sense, because they don't quite have such a draft signature as opposed to the bigger cars. Again, just due to the way that they're designed to build, they are designed to break the laws of physics. Essentially, they're designed to cut through the air as fast as possible, while still maintaining grip and traction on the road. And Turbo making a mistake there, and Starshooter is going to move ahead up into P4 there. So Turbo just had a little bit of a moment there. I'm not sure if that was a slide under braking, a little bit of a maybe weight transfer issue perhaps there from Turbo, and it just broke the car free a little bit on him. He did only lose the 1 position, but now he is under attack here from Sector 7 Racing Nuke as Nuke closes in on the back door here. And are we going to see an attempted pass here coming from Nuke? Nuke's just going to move it back out to the mid side of the racetrack here and go for the optimal line into turn number 1 and 2 and see if we can get it done on the outside. And no, it looks like Turbo is going to hold Nuke off here for the time being on the inside there. So Nuke remains in 6th place here. So unfortunate moment there for Turbo, but again, only losing the 1 position. Still feeling a little bit of pressure here, however, from Nuke in behind in 6th place. Dipshy here in 7th place, and Bud here in 8th place. Both those drivers seem to be having just a little bit of a difficult time here in the cars this weekend. Just a little bit off the group here right now, but racing is racing and anything can happen. It is a long race. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. So J-Rod now trying to open a gap up here. He's got about 2.4 seconds over Rough and Tough, who was leading the early portion of this race. Ruzi here in 3rd place has about 2.5 seconds in behind Rough and Tough, so really hasn't given a lot of time up to 2nd place there. Starshooter is, I believe, closing in on Ruzi a little bit, so we'll have to wait and see. It's 3 seconds right now. We'll keep our eye on the gap. Turbo now got that car kind of all back into optimal condition in a sense, got those tires back up to heat and temperature, probably got himself settled back into his car and his rhythm here, and now back on track again to see if he can close in on Starshooter, re-engage that battle, and he does get a little bit of a breakaway from Nuke here as well, so just about a second there, so definitely enough to just break that slipstream for sure in these cars here this weekend. They're just spaced far enough apart right now. Everybody's just far enough apart from each other right now. Alright, let's jump on board J-Rod here. As, oh, we don't have to look at the middle bar apparently in spectator mode. In cockpit view as he runs down the racetrack here, it is quite a visual distraction. It takes up quite a bit of your line of sight, so to speak. So that's a feature Grand Prix put in so the drivers can still essentially see where they're going properly to avoid contact, essentially, is the idea behind it. But around turn 1 there, let's kind of get an idea of the pace and how quickly down the track you're going here. I mean, it's moving. You're definitely going around the track very, very quickly. And it's just a whole lot of get over to one side, set up for your corner, get a good exit, and then basically start to set up for your next corner. You get a couple of opportunities here on Fuji really to get a good run like this one here, but then you're heading right into, again, a hard technical sector for at least a quarter of the racetrack. So, you can see what the drivers are battling with there. It's just a constant setup, turn, setup, turn, setup, turn. Same thing here. Way outside, get that nice tight inside line early on the throttle, utilize all that exit, and get on the loud pedal here. So there's a lap around Fuji with our current race leader J-Rod here, as he goes ahead and starts lap number 12 here once we come right under the bridge. Ding ding! We got a battle here for second place. Ruzi has closed in on Rough and Tough here now, and does get the position here coming into turn number 1. Can he hold it now as they come out of turn number 1 through turn number 2 there? And he does seem to get the job done. So Ruzi now moving up into second place there, does catch up to Rough and Tough and makes a pass again. Rough and Tough going wide through the kink there. And we've seen that a couple of times from him here today, and again the track officials seem to let it go, so maybe a little more leniency with the Super Formula cars out on track here as far as the track limits go so far today. But definitely a couple times it definitely shot well wide of the exit curve in there, and typically you usually get a penalty there, but he seems to have avoided it both times there, so maybe a little more leniency coming from our track officials here, our trackside officials, that determine whether or not those drivers get those track limit penalties. Oh, the words are so hard to come by sometimes. J-Rod's almost got it to 5 seconds to what's now Ruzi here in second place. I'm not sure what's happened to Rough and Tough here. It went from bad to worse there, I think, for Rough and Tough Maverick now here up into third place. We've got Turbo here now up into P4. We've got Nuke into fifth place here. Rough and Tough all the way down into sixth position here, and oh, he's coming in for a pit stop here. This is a absolutely just wore out tire coming from Rough and Tough here. And that might have been where we are seeing the struggle coming from Rough and Tough there. And boy, did he ever shred that tire. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, wow. Just kind of comparing his tire to some of the other same compound tires in other races in the field here, and I'm just absolutely shocked at how hard he shredded that tire. Wow, 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 wow. So if he made that tire last, I'm going to call it 16 minutes for argument's sake, 16 and a half. It's only going to give him 33 minutes potentially on the medium tires, so there is a very strong potential based off of my math anyways, that he may have no tire left in the last lap or two of this race here. He may have to make an additional pit stop here. We'll have to wait and see. He's gonna have to really manage that. Ooh, Maverick getting a little bit wrong there. Just as we get the camera to him there, he's collecting himself up. So a little bit of a throttle error coming out of that section there, and the car snapping on him. But again, he does collect it up. So great job there to recognize the car trying to kill him there. And keeps it underneath of him. Turbo here in 4th place, with Nuke starting to close in here in 5th place. That gap is now under 2 seconds between the two of them. Dipshay here in 6th place, Rough and Tough here in 7th position, and Bud here in 8th place. So essentially 16 and a half minutes on the soft tire. You should be able to double the distance on the medium tire, rough calculation. So that puts us at 33 laps. So if you go, or it puts us at 33 minutes, but actually puts us at, what is that, about 49 minutes of the race. I believe these races are designed and set up to be about 50 minutes to an hour long in the future races here. So he is on the very, very edge of potentially having to be forced to make an additional stop because he might not have any tire left by the end of the race. So no, that's not a you know a perfected calculation by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a rough calculation, but as a sim racer myself and someone who lead races and deals with tire wear and all those factors, it's an educated guess. Alright, so J-Rod has come into pit lane here. I suspected, I really did suspect that we would see J-Rod run out to about lap 20, anywhere between 22 and 25 on that soft tire, only because that's just been statistically about the distance he's been trying to take on the soft tires all these races. However, that hasn't paid off for him very well this season. Poor J-Rod. We'll see how it works out for him here this season, or in this race. I mean, honestly, his tires and his pace drop-off didn't look like it was really showing yet. I mean, typically the drivers decide to come off that soft tire when they come off of it due to the pace starting to fall off, right? So you go do a hot lap that you felt like was a good quality, clean lap with no mistakes or no major mistakes per se, and all of a sudden you're a second slower that lap, right? That is pace fall off on that tire. So at that point, that's when those racers typically are deciding, you know what, I'm starting to lose pace. Now it makes sense to come into pit lane, get onto a fresh tire, and just not lose any more extra time, right? And J-Rod's been kind of in that gray zone all season long with overrunning that soft compounded tire, and now we see him coming in potentially too early off of that soft tire due to the type of car that we're racing here today, because he was managing that tire so well on that SF23 and the pace so well. I think that he may potentially have hurt himself, depending on what his medium tire pace is here tonight, by not going the extra, 4 or 5 more laps on that softer tire, because again, that pace fall off just hasn't shown yet on that softer tire. But I mean, these racers have a strategy when you come into these races, and I'm not going to sit here and say that what he's doing is right or wrong. That's not what I'm here saying. It's just interesting as I broadcast these races throughout the season. You see the changes in the drivers' thinking and the way they approach these races and the settings, right? And that's just that's a different change. It's a big change from J-Rod, I guess, and I guess that's why I'm noting it and talking about it here tonight. But interesting. I hope it works out for him. I really hope that in my opinion, solid strategy call works out for him. However, I know myself all too well, and still seeing that I have well over 50% tire left I probably would have went around at least a couple more times myself yet, but you know, maybe he's got a plan. Like I said, you know, these drivers have strategies when they come into these races, and does not look like the DRS refills here after a pit stop. Are there? No, it does not. So the drivers do need to really utilize that DRS wisely throughout the race. So some drivers holding on to DRS, some drivers may not have as much DRS. That could play a deciding factor here near the end of the race. So interesting. DRS is always a strategy all within itself here in Super Formula Racing. And when is and when isn't the right time to use it is always the big question here in Gran Turismo 7 anyways. I know I've taken part in a couple of Super Formula Championships myself as a racer as opposed to a broadcaster. I'm actually a big fan of these Super Formula cars in Gran Turismo 7. It's one of my more favorite classes actually to race. Not that I'm the best in them or anything like that, but I just feel comfortable in them. It's one of the cars that seems to feel a little more accurate in GT7 to me, I guess. I don't know. Call me weird maybe. Call me wrong, whatever you want. It's all fine. It's all good. It's just an opinion. But I find that the cars handle the tire wear quite well for the most part on most of the racing tracks as well, and they don't fall off on pace quite as quickly either. It really takes a significant drop off in the tire before you start really seeing a significant drop off in pace. And I didn't actually use the DRS button. Very, very rarely did I ever use DRS in my races, and always seem to end up fairly well in the grid, so even winning a couple of races. So one of the very few racers in the Super Formula cars that doesn't really utilize that DRS to its full advantage, I suppose, but it's by design. I mean, why use it if I don't need to use it? I mean, if there's no reason to put the extra stress and strain on the car, then why do so? Why put the extra usage on the fuel? Why put the extra usage on the tires when everything's going fine, the rhythm is good? Don't break the rhythm right now. You know, if I have a little spin or I'm making a little mistake or something like that, then sure, I'll use the DRS to get back up to speed a lot quicker to try and minimize that time loss. That's about the time you'll see me use DRS. Other than that, it's very rare to see me touch that button, in GT7 anyway. And that is the case for some of the racers out there that run these high downforce cars as well. You know, they just trust what the car can do without that extra boost. But, you know, if you needed to squeeze out that extra tenth of a second to get that pass done, then it's there for you, right? You know you still have it there. Yeah, it's hit and miss, and we're seeing that here, even in this field of racers. You know, some that aren't afraid to use that DRS, and some that are very stingy with it, and some that haven't even touched it yet on the grid here tonight. So. Ruzi's in good shape for a race win here today. In my opinion right now, Ruzi's, I think, in the best shape for the race win here right now. He was on the medium tire chasing two soft tire runners up front. He has actually now gotten around those guys. Rough and Tough having just absolutely cooking his soft tires. And J-Rod just making a scheduled pit stop there off his soft tires. Medium tires are going to run longer than the softs. That's natural. We'll probably see Ruzi and the medium tire runners potentially start to come in at the end of this lap or anytime within the next 2 or 3 laps. We'll see all these drivers pit most likely for those soft tires now, but we'll wait and see. I mean, it's going to kind of tell me whether or not if J-Rod may have came in a little too early off those soft tires or not, but I guess we'll wait and see. Comes down to what our race leaders are going to do on these medium tires. Here we got Bud coming in off the medium tire, now looking to go on to the soft tire. J-Rod here is that driver that was on the soft tire leading the race there for a while, and he's the one now trying to get the race lead back. So he's got, what's that gap? 23 seconds. So he'll get the race lead back from those guys when they do make that pit stop, as long as he keeps it lean, mean, and clean here right now. But Nuke is trying to charge here. You see a little touch of that DRS button there as we just jumped over to his car just to get that car up to top speed a little bit quicker. We got Turbo chasing here in behind, so Nuke has managed his way around Turbo. We do have a pit stop being made by Dipshay there, and Rough and Tough made a pit stop a couple of laps ago already, so we'll wait and see here when our race leader now decides to get off of his medium set of tires essentially. So J-Rod ran, what is that, was it 16? 16? Yeah, 16 I think it was, on the soft tires, which should lead him 18 laps on the medium tires. We're on lap 21 here. Now on the medium tires, so maybe he didn't overextend it. maybe that was just me. His tires just looked like they were in really good shape still, and didn't see a pace drop off on him. So again, that's why a driver makes that decision to get off that soft racing tire, because you start to lose your pace. You start to lose time on the racetrack, so you want to get back onto. It's better to go onto a fresh set of medium tires in this case, rather than give up a second per lap on the soft tires, because you're literally just giving that time back up to the medium tire runner. So you might as well just get on a fresh set of medium tires and be minimum running race pace with the medium tire runner, so they're not gaining time back on you. That's kind of the theory behind it, or the basis behind what a driver is really ultimately trying to decide. Now, sometimes, obviously, races are tough and the settings are tough, and sometimes you need to really stretch that tire out as far as you can take it. Sometimes that is the case, but tire wear looks pretty good on these cars here around Fuji here today, so. Well, it is evening time here at Fuji, believe it or not, even though the sun is shining out like it's middle of the afternoon. It is actually evening conditions here on the racetrack. So, like I said, Mother Nature is being real friendly here to our racers this evening in the Super Formula cars here. So Ruzi now coming into pit lane. So he's going to come out and do about a 12-lap session on those soft tires. So I suspect that he's coming in with the intention of absolutely sending it on the soft tires. It's going to be much of the same for Maverick. So now it all comes up to J-Rod here. He needs to get this SF car absolutely roaring up this front straight here and open up that gap as absolutely quickly as possible, because now the soft tire runners are going to be chasing him down. And as I say that, Ruzi's going to come out ahead here. Ruzi actually comes out ahead of J-Rod, and J-Rod's not even going to have the opportunity to defend that position from Ruzi. Ruzi's just going to come back out and maintain that race lead. So J-Rod here is 5.4 seconds in behind, and that leaves Nuke now in third place, chasing only 1.5 seconds behind, also on a purple sector that has turbo. Now, I can't find him, sitting in fourth place. Hit the right button, Ghost, and here we go. So the pit stop sequences have hit, and the drivers have switched those tires, and I mean, it is game on. It's race to the checkered flag here now for the last time this championship season. So with 11 and a half laps to go, where Ruzi is on the racetrack right now, we're ticking down to our champion, to crowning that champion. And the way things are looking here right now, it's going to be Star Shooter. I mean, it's going to be Maverick here. Just not enough of a gap between Nuke and himself here in this final race to really make up that points gap, I don't think. So there's going to need to be a lot more space in that between the two racers here, and Nuke is going to have to be on the top end of that space ahead of Maverick as well, to have that shot at taking that crown away. So it is a little bit of a stretch and a long shot, I think, here this week for Nuke. I think it's there, but it has to be almost perfect, and finishing 2 positions in behind Maverick in the sprint race has definitely hurt the chances of that happening. So he would have to essentially probably finish in first place, take the fastest lap, and Maverick would have to probably finish in dead 8th place or last place in this lobby, and even then I still don't know if it's quite enough at this point with how the sprint race has finished. Now, that is unofficial results. Obviously, we do have officiating that needs to be done post-race, and that is done through a stewarding program like most organizations here in the sim racing community. So there will be a due process, and obviously time to finalize the championship point standings here for the Sector 7 and the racers, but unofficially definitely looking like it is going to be Maverick as our champion here coming out of our race weekend so far this weekend, but the racing is not done yet. Anything can happen. Alright, so the gap is growing between Ruzi and J-Rod here. You would expect that being on the faster compound than the second place driver. You would suspect you would see, at least early on in the tire stint, you would see that soft tire pull away from tire, and then as the stint grows on, you would probably suspect to start to see the medium tire close back in on the soft tire. But again, these Super Formula cars are a different beast. They do things differently than what we're used to driving, and you'd be surprised at how well they actually wear on the tires and how long you can go on the tires in these cars. So I'm sure that the racers have tested the living daylights out of this race here today and know what's up, but tough decisions have to be made on the racetrack in these cars, and sometimes it's on the very instant of a moment you have to make that decision. So, going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Alright, so Nuke is settled in there. I would say he's now in that slipstream range. I think 3/4 of a second is probably a little more accurate here for our Super Formula cars with the way that the game model is currently right now. So a little bit of DRS help can obviously help that situation a little bit as well. But now it is a game of who has more DRS than the other one as well, right? All the drivers can really tell on these cars is by that light on the very top end of the car. So you see that green light on Turbo's car here. If we go back to Turbo's car, you see that green light right above the driver's head there. That's the sign that they have DRS still in the car and is currently not being used. Now, when the drivers are on the DRS button, that green light turns to red to signify that they are using DRS in that Super Formula car. And if there is no light on the driver's seat console above the car there, that means that they have no DRS remaining in their car, and that is the case for our 4th place driver Maverick here. He does not have any DRS left in his car. He used it all up at some point throughout the race here. It made a liar out of me. It's not turning red as we're using the boost here. There it is now. No, it's still green. Interesting. It used to do that. Maybe they've changed that since recently. Nuke now moving up into 2nd place here. It looked like J-Rod potentially had a server penalty there. So let's go see what happened there. Yes, 1 second penalty there, as a matter of fact, that J-Rod had to serve there. So free pass essentially for Sector 7's Nuke there, and that is 2nd place now for Nuke here, and J-Rod now into 3rd place. That leaves Maverick now chasing here in 4th position, Turbo here in 5th place. We've got Rough and Tough in 6th, Dipshay in 7th, and Bud here in 8th place. And boy, Nuke needs some help from the field here right now to pass Maverick a couple times, to get some gap, get some spots in between them two here to really try and close up that gap. But boy, as the race starts to dwindle down, as the laps start ticking down, that championship dream for Sector 7 Nuke is quickly disappearing here, I think, unfortunately. But again, like I said, halfway through the season, it was very large and in charge in Maverick's hands. And then as we jump on and go check the point standings here this afternoon to get prepared for the broadcast today, we see that Nuke has really closed that gap up in the last half of the season. So it's been a great fight in the closing rounds here for sure. And no driver looks like they're leaving anything left on the racetrack here this finale night. And that's what we love to see and hope to see out of our racers. Put it all on the line and don't leave anything behind on the racetrack at the end of the season. And I think every racer's doing that here tonight so far. Nuke in 3rd place. J-Rod's now starting to feel the pressure here from Maverick and Turbo just lingering in the background. So we're going to sit on board with on camera here, pardon me, with J-Rod and Maverick and Turbo just in the background here as we start to, again, just see the clock winding down here. J-Rod's still got 6 laps to hold the charge of these guys off in behind as well. So it is going to be a tough fight here. It's going to be a tough challenge here, as you can see how quickly Maverick has closed in on the back door of J-Rod here. Now J-Rod does have one advantage over Maverick here right now. J-Rod still has some DRS left in his car, where Maverick does not. So J-Rod can use that DRS in the corner X's to continue to maintain the gap over Maverick there. And just as I say that there, we see J-Rod get his slide over the same spot. We've seen Turbo have his issue there as well, and was he using the DRS, I guess, is the big question when that happened there. And I'm just going to take a nope. You're just making the corner and just got some tire spin there, and then it just wow, nosed the car right into the wall there too. So some damage on top of it all. Oh, gone for bad. Reverse there for J-Rod down into P5, and I mean that's just a mistake made by the racer right there. It happens, and unfortunately for him, it's going to cost him a couple of positions. Dipshay in 7th here. We got Bud in 8th place, and yeah, I mean, that's racing. That can happen to any one of these races at any given time, at any moment on this racetrack from here to the checker flag. I mean, the race is just never over till it's over, and that's just prime example of it. Looking real strong. He's had a good race all race long, and unfortunately for him, just that one little mistake sets him back down into the mid-pack. I mean, that's all it takes, right? So, especially in the Super Formula cars, they're so fast, and the closing speeds are so quick that when you make a mistake, you know, all of a sudden the next that driver in behind is all of a sudden just on top of you again, filling up your mirrors. So that's the way Super Formula racing is. Nuke here in 2nd place, 10 seconds to Rizzi. Rizzi's well in control of this race at this point here. Maverick in 3rd place, 2.2 seconds in behind Nuke. That leaves Turbo here in 4th place, about the same thing in behind Maverick right now, and then J-Rod is now what 8 seconds in behind Turbo here, but has 20 seconds to get to the next driver. So he's essentially stuck in no man's land after that mistake now, which is super unfortunate there for J-Rod, but a great race here for him nonetheless tonight. Gave it everything he got there, really went after that win here tonight, and unfortunately just didn't work out for him. That's the way it goes, man. That's racing. Turbo is putting some pressure on Maverick here now. He had that gap just under a second as they went into the sector here, and he's just nibbling at that second mark here. Now again, this is a situation where who has DRS and who does not have any DRS left, essentially, right? So this is a part of the strategy of the Super Formula races, especially on the longer runs, is how, when, and where do I use that DRS, or do I even use it at all? And I mean, Ruzi's been dipping into that DRS here now in this last few minutes there. We've seen him just use it to continue to maintain that race lead, essentially. Now he's just kind of just driving, managing the gap at this point. Nuke here in 2nd place, doing a great job. He has opened the gap up a little tiny bit here too. Maverick chasing in 3rd place, but Maverick again is starting to feel some pressure from Sector 7 Racing's Turbo here in 4th place behind chasing. That leads us into J-Rod here in 5th place. Rough and Tough here in 6th position. We've got Dipshay here in 7th place, and we got Bud here in 11th place. And that medium tire will definitely make it there from Rough and Tough, but boy did he ever shred that soft tire on that soft tire stint, man. That tire was screaming at him there, and that's why we've seen him come in so early, and that explains why the pace fell off so quickly for him there too as well. Click. It's supposed to be a whisper quiet keyboard. Every single key on this keyboard makes a clicking sound. Maybe it's whisper quiet to microphones, I guess. I don't know, but it's not quiet, that's for sure. Alright, Ruzi here with 2 to go here this time around as he comes around that final corner. So it is literally a matter of 2.5 minutes here for Ruzi to take the checkered flag home here first today. It's Nuke in second place, 11 seconds in behind. Stark Shooter is falling behind Nuke here, 4.3 seconds now. Turbo is trying to close in still on Maverick here, and you can see he's just touching that DRS a little tiny bit here to try and gain just a little bit of time, 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 but he is running out of laps here, which means he is running out of time. So if he's going to try and make something happen for that podium here in the Super Formula finale, he is going to have to get it done in the next couple of minutes. Ruzi is large and in charge here. Nuke in second place, is really feeling no pressure, just got to bring it home. Maverick's not feeling any immediate pressure, but definitely a car close enough to apply some pressure and potentially steal that podium position away very late in this race. And then we got J-Rod here securely sitting in fourth place for the time being. We got Rough and Tough in, fifth place for the time being. Rough and Tough in sixth. Dipshay in seventh place, closing in here on Rough and Tough. So a potential battle there, and Bud here in eighth place. So that's what we got as we head towards the checkered flag, and one final time around Fuji here for Ruzi and his championship season as we take the white flag as he crosses the start-finish line one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Nuke's going to take that white flag for the rest of his season here as he comes around as well, as he comes and grooving up the racetrack there. He's got Bud just up ahead of him there. It's going to be Maverick here coming across with Turbo in very close quarters here now in that slipstream range. We got J-Rod here coming to take his final white flag of the championship season here as well. And Rough and Tough, Dipshay, and Bud working their way around for that white flag here as well. But we should get back to our race leader as he is a little over halfway around the racetrack at this point. So normally we see a chicane here, but with these high downforce cars, we pull the chicane off the circuit here and turn it into what we call the short version of Fuji. It's not really that much shorter, it just takes up a couple of extra turns. So racetrack distance, it may still very well be close to the same as a matter of fact. It just takes out 3 corners as opposed to 3 extra corners out of that final sector of the racetrack. Essentially is all that cuts off. Allows these high downforce cars to navigate the track a little more efficiently and safely, essentially. So it is Ruzi here with a finale win in the Super Formula cars. Congratulations to Ruzi for a very well thought out and planned out race here this weekend for the Super Formula finale from Sector 7 Racing. Nuke is going to take it home here in second place, and it is going to be Maverick here in that final podium position, just holding off the charge of Turbo there in fourth place. J-Rod is going to bring it home here in fifth place. A great race here for J-Rod as well today, and great season here for him as he was fighting, I believe, in the top half of the standings there as well. Rough and Tough here to bring it home for his season here in sixth place, and looks like Bud just crossed the finish line there in eighth place here this season to finish off his season here from the Toyota GR Cup from Sector 7 Racing. And that's it, folks. I mean, what else are we gonna say? We get to crown our champions. Love that part of the season, but we hate to see it go as well. And there it is. We're going to see Dipshay came through there, and it is Ruzi for the race win here in the finale. So GG's to Ruzi for the race win. S7R Aero, aka fastest lap, is also going to go to Ruzi there with a 1:17.286. So good job to Ruzi right there as well. And I mean, what else can we say, ladies and gentlemen, but what a absolute epic racing evening here from the Sector 7 Racing crew. Small but mighty is what I like to say here. It wasn't a big stack full lobby of racers, but it was a mighty set of battles on the racetrack from these 8 racers here this weekend. So you did great, J-Rod. You did great, my man. Don't stress. Don't stress. Everybody did a fantastic job. Congratulations to the racers, and I mean, unofficially, officially, that is a season here from Sector 7 Racing. So we have a couple things we're just doing here real quick. Bear with me. We got to throw something up on the stream for everybody, and it's going to be a big congratulations to NVR Team Redline, NVR Maverick, our Pro-Am champion here, season 2025 from Sector 7 Racing's Toyota GR Cup. So congratulations to Maverick here for a Pro-Am title this championship season. This is unofficial, as obviously we have to wait for the official results to come through. But with the way that the race has ended here today and the positions between himself and the chasing driver Nuke did not gain enough points to overtake Maverick there in the point standings. So minus some politics and red tape that we got to go through for settling up the results, we can definitely congratulate NVR Maverick for a Pro-Am championship in the first one here from Sector 7 Racing. So congratulations to him. It was a pretty dominant performance from him all season long. He was always fighting at the top end of the field. Didn't matter where in the field he seemed to start. He always found his way up to that podium or somewhere towards the front of the race. He had a couple of races where it didn't go quite as well for him, but overall it was a solid championship season for him, and hard work pays off, ladies and gentlemen. Practice makes perfect. The seat time is important, and knowing your strategy and your alternate strategies coming into these races really plays a vital part in taking home a championship title. So this season it was NVR Maverick that did it better than the rest in the Pro-Am division, and he is going to be crowned a champion. Congratulations to NVR Maverick. Thank you on behalf of Sector 7 Racing to our fans and our viewers that have tuned in all season long, whether it be through Rallycross GT, GT45 Gaming, or McNaughty Gaming's channels, or the Sector 7 Racing channel. We do appreciate your patronage, your viewership, and your support. And on behalf of GT45 Gaming, I would like to thank Sector 7 Racing for a great championship season, an opportunity to be a part of it, and to all their volunteers and staff and behind the scenes. You guys absolutely knocked it out of the park this season. Absolutely great championship season. And to my Pro-Ams, thank you for a great championship season. As always, you guys keep it real. You keep it mean, lean, and spicy out there for our viewers. And I can't wait to see what Sector 7 has in store for us in 2026. Stay tuned for the server for those announcements. Stay tuned to the social pages to keep up to date with what's coming next from Sector 7 Racing. And what else can we say about what an absolutely smashing season here for their first official season coming from this great racing organization. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the racers. Thank you to Sector 7 Racing. And thank you to NVR Maverick, our Pro-Am Split 2 divisional champion here from Sector 7 Racing Toyota GR Cup 2025. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you all matter. Stay winning. And I challenge each and every one of you to do a good deed this week to a random stranger. Love you all, and we'll catch you on the next one.